Well, good evening, everyone, and depending on where you are, good afternoon or good morning. My name is Ryan Hargraves, and I am the Executive Director of Admissions here at the University of Vermont. It is my pleasure to host this UVM Strong event this evening to welcome you, a new student or your accompanying family member, to the Catamount community. We are so proud of what you've done and look forward to having you join us here in Burlington or perhaps from some other location, depending on your situation. But we are very excited to take you through this journey. And tonight you're going to hear from a number of leaders, a number of folks who are experts who are going to basically give you some insight on what your transition to campus will look like. And so we have this framework here, as we see in the next slide. So basically the overview for this evening, you're going to hear about UVM Strong. And what I can tell you is that over the last 9 months or so, as we've all been dealing with the implications of this global pandemic, I've really been inspired by the students, the faculty, and the staff here at the University of Vermont. And you're going to hear from them, and you're going to learn more about this UVM Strong concept. You know, the basic points about that, sort of to help you understand what the UVM Strong concept is all about. It's really about keeping you healthy and as safe and as successful as possible during your journey here as a student. And we've also created a roadmap as you think about your return to campus or your journey to campus, and you think about your academic career and how to best take advantage of the opportunity that you will have as a current student at the University of Vermont, and that is to decide, prepare, arrive, engage in an orientation process, and then more broadly take advantage of opportunities here at the University of Vermont. At the conclusion of this session, you will have the opportunity to ask questions, and then our panel of experts will answer those questions. But feel free to ask a question in the chat. And so if there is a question that is broadly applicable, we will pose it to the group. But otherwise, we will answer your question in the chat. So thank you all for joining us. But what I'm going to do right now is, in the next slide here, is to hand it off. And so you have this go link here, go.uvm.edu/spring 2021, which will tell you a lot more about the UVM Strong concept. But I'm going to turn it over to two great colleagues. I would say not only are they colleagues, but they are superheroes. They have really been important pieces of the puzzle that has helped the University of Vermont manage during this very difficult time. We have our Vice President for Operations and Safety, Gary Durr, and our Vice Provost for Student Affairs, Annie Stevens. So Gary and Annie, take it away.
Ryan, thank you very much. And let me add to Ryan's welcome to UVM. It's so exciting to have you all joining University of Vermont and to becoming Catamounts. Let me give you a little background on our UVM Strong initiative. It started back in April when we as the institution transitioned to remote learning, but then we set out with a goal of reopening and restarting the university in the fall. And we adopted that name UVM Strong because Catamounts are strong, Catamounts are fighters, and we were going to come through this and we're going to make this successful. We set out, we had three primary goals in our initiatives and our planning efforts for higher education at UVM. First and foremost is that we were going to provide a safe and healthy environment for you all to learn in. Second, we were going to continue to provide the high quality learning experience that attracted you to UVM. And third was we were going to provide an outstanding student experience. I can say without a doubt, everyone that was involved in this effort, and there were thousands of people, committed themselves day and night to pulling this off. And we've had a remarkable fall semester, not without its challenges. We've all been learning as we've been going along here, but we have had a truly remarkable year. Let me just share some of the incredible numbers that we've had this past fall. We had about 10,500 campus learners. Those were people that were learning both on campus, in our community, and remote. Over that period of time, from about the middle of August till this past week, we have administered over 160,000 COVID-19 tests on campus for our students. And that has been a key linchpin in our success in remaining open. Just prior to Thanksgiving, we only had a little under 100 students test positive, which we're very excited. And you can see our positivity rate, 0.001. That is really exceptional and something we're proud of. It's not something university did, it's what all of our students, faculty, and staff did in committing to make this an outstanding experience. I want to turn this over to my wonderful friend and colleague, Annie Stevens.
Gary, thanks so much. It's really great to be with you all tonight. I echo what Gary said about UVM strong, and the other thing about Catamounts is we are a pack. We stick together, and that's actually all we're going to talk about tonight, is you joining us and the UVM family and what it's going to take from all of us, you as new members, but from all of us again in the spring, to make sure we have a terrific experience and make sure we all do it safely. So what you see on the screen right now is kind of some of the key things that we know work and that we want to share with you, so you can begin to think about your own experience and how you want to be a Catamount as you come and join us this spring. First of all, we've got what is called a green and gold promise, right? So we are proud of our green and gold colors, and the promise to all of us as community members outlines all the things that we're willing to do and willing to sacrifice to make sure that we can be on campus and also offer a great education to those who are at home. So you'll want to be sure you receive that green and gold promise, that you read through it, and that you agree to uphold everything in it throughout the rest of the spring semester. And then there's those public health guidelines that I know you've probably heard a lot about, but we take it all very seriously. We really do all wear masks, we stay distanced, we're really good about hand washing, using hand sanitizer or soap or whatever it is. We are great with limiting social gatherings. It doesn't mean we won't offer campus programs. There will definitely be both online programs as well as in-person programs. And we have to follow all the state guidelines, right? So you're going to get a lot of information about traveling in and out of Vermont or within Vermont, and you have to follow those guidelines pretty closely to make sure we all stay safe, especially upon those of you who are moving into Burlington in the spring. And then a little bit about our background. One of the things that keep us so safe and healthy, as Gary just said, about our positivity rates being so low, is that we do a regular every 7-day test, and then with that is contact tracing. And so there's a lot of guidelines around the fact that you need to agree that if you become positive and test positive, not only do we want to take good care of you and want to know, but we also want to make sure that those of you who have been in contact with others get contacted so that we can keep them safe as well. And then there's policies, like I just said, about testing every 7 days. It's a great atmosphere. You walk into the Davis Center. It takes about 2 minutes. I do it myself regularly, and the testing folks are great, and it's an easy process, but we do ask everyone to do it every 7 days. And then no guests in residence hall rooms. So this is one of the strategies that I think it has really worked for us. And while it sounds hard, it is. I'm not going to beat around the bush or sugarcoat it. It is tough, but we will always make sure that we start off with no guests. That even means folks who might live down the hall from you or friends that you know that are in another residence hall. We can't have that. And if things go well, though, and the semester gets more and more looking like things are good in terms of low number of cases, then we may ease up on that. So we follow the data just like good scientists would, and we follow the data and we use our best discretion and decision making around whether guests will be allowed in the rooms or not at any given point in the semester. So stay tuned on that one. And then, of course, it's all about accountability, right? It's all about, sure, we understand there might be some few first mistakes, getting used to kind of the culture, especially on campus, and the fact that, you really do have to stick to everything. But if things become more repetitive, or we find that you're missing tests, or your behavior just isn't upholding to what the Green and Gold Promise standards are, we will refer you to conduct and talk to one of our conduct officers about whether you're able to be on campus at all and whether this is going to work for you. So just to say, we take it really seriously, we help each other out, and we make sure each other is safe. So we'll go on to the next slide. It's what the campus looks like. And so I want you to know we still can be really active. We still do a lot of things. We still have terrific classes with terrific faculty and get out and enjoy the Burlington and our surrounding community in Vermont. It's why many of us live here, and perhaps why some of you want to be here, is because we have outstanding academic programs and we have an amazing place to live. It's going to be a little colder as we begin in the spring, but we really hope that all of you kind of gear up and really get excited about what it can be like being together in the spring and in the cold weather, and make sure that we do this together as a community. So I'm going to hand it off now, and we'll keep going. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Jay Dickinson, the Vice Provost for Academic Affairs and Student Success, and I'm going to talk to you a little bit about your choices for at-home or on-campus instruction and what that's going to mean for you. So many of you who have deferred, so you were already accepted to UVM and you decided to wait until spring to begin attending, you've already made this decision as to whether you want to learn from home or be on campus. But some of you who have just recently committed to joining UVM have not necessarily made this decision, and you have that on your checklist. You have until mid-January to make that decision, so please make sure you're paying attention to that deadline. So I wanted to clarify what it means to be an at-home learner and what it means to be an on-campus learner. So if you're going to be an at-home learner, you will be able to enroll in online courses, so ones that that you attend according to your own schedule within the week, but there are no scheduled meetings, or remote synchronous classes, which meet at a regular time, but they are fully online streaming courses. You'll also be able to enroll in some special sections of courses that have mixed modality, which includes remote and in-person instruction, and those are going to be specifically set aside for you. So when you do course registration, if you're an at-home learner, that will be one of the things you'll discuss with your advisor. Now, if you choose to be an at-home learner, you will be exempt from COVID-19 testing. We don't expect you to be able to commute from a distant location to be able to do that. However, due to the increase of incidents of COVID-19 in the community, we are asking students who are living off campus in specific towns that are close to campus, Burlington, South Burlington, and Winooski, to engage in testing, and Gary will offer some more information about that. So if you're an at-home learner, you will be required to reside at an off-campus location, so you won't be living on campus. And if you're a first-year sophomore or another student who has not completed their 4-semester on-campus residency requirement, you need to be living at your official permanent residence. So basically living with your family at the residence that you've listed. If you are an undergraduate student who is not required to live on campus, a graduate student, or certificate non-degree students, we have some other populations as well. You may reside locally off campus. If you live in one of those 3 towns, you may be subject to testing. If you are an at-home learner, it means that you have no access to the physical campus. You can't have an on-campus job. You can't come to campus for classes or for meetings with a group for any kind of learning purpose, not for research, not to use the library, so on and so forth. So this applies to all students in the at-home learning option. We wanted to make that really clear. Of course, if you are required to test, you'll be able to come in, as Annie described. You come in, you zoom right through that testing line, and then you would be asked to leave campus immediately after. So that is the at-home learning option. It's really great for students who don't feel ready to come and interact in the on-campus situation during the pandemic. But we want to make sure that you understand that you do have options for different modes of learning if you choose this option. The second option that you have is to be an on-campus learner. And as Annie has already run through, if you are an on-campus learner, you are committing to abide by the Green and Gold Promise, including all of the rules regarding testing, behavior, and interaction. You will be able to enroll in a range of instructional modalities. So you might have some classes that only meet in person, some that meet in person some days and remotely other days, or you might be in some fully online classes as well. You will have access to on-campus facilities such as the library and so forth, and there will also be socially distanced study spaces that are available for you to use both for studying and to attend synchronous remote classes so that you're not having to learn all the time from your home. You will be required to participate in testing once every 7 days, as was already described. And you will be residing in a campus residence hall or local housing. So this is not open to someone who would live outside of commuting distance from the campus. And of course, you'll have access to both in-person and remote services as they are available around campus. Now, after you've made this decision, you'll be thinking, of course, about the different kinds of classes you'll be able to take in the modalities that are available to you in your different learning options. And for course registration, each college and school is going to have advisors from their student services office who will be in touch with you via your UVM email about scheduling your course registration appointment. So please make sure that you're checking that UVM email so that you're you get the message about how to meet with your advisor and sign up for those all-important classes that will start on February 1st. So during your course registration appointment, an advisor will answer any of your questions regarding your schedule. They'll help you find the classes that you want and need to take in the modalities that are available to you. And don't forget that you can always reach out to your student services office with questions or concerns. These are amazing people and they will really help you find your academic path as you enter UVM. So now I'm going to hand it back to Ryan to introduce the next section.
Okay, so thank you, Jay, for giving some perspective on some of the academic considerations that students should make in preparation for the spring semester. So we're going to bring Gary and Annie back, and they will be joined by my great colleague, Rafael Rodriguez, who is the Executive Director for Residential Life. And they're going to talk about what you should be doing and thinking about as you plan to arrive. So with that in mind, I will pass it off to Raf. I think you're kicking it off for us.
Yep, that's me. Thank you. Good evening, folks. Good to be here with you tonight and connect a bit. And I'm, for now, going to talk specifically about folks who are preparing to arrive on campus, those folks who chose to be an in-person learner, specifically students who are either new students or transfer students under the age of 20 who have a housing residency requirement. I'm going to leave some time at the end to talk to students who are transfer students who are over the age of 20 who might be interested in housing, so I'll spend some time just giving you some information. But again, if you're a new student under the age of a new student or a transfer student under the age of 20, you do have a housing requirement, a requirement to live in the halls. So let's talk a bit more about how you can prepare to enter the residence halls. As of now, what you should know is that the housing and meal contract is open, and we encourage you strongly to, as soon as you can, fill that out. The contract is open until December 5th, and that's important because your housing contract is going to be the place where you are able to rank your learning communities. So you've heard a bit about learning communities. For us, it really grounds your experience in the residence halls. We have 9 learning communities you can choose from. And for us, we really like to think about our residence halls as places beyond where you just go and sleep at night, right? We really think about our residence halls and our learning communities as places where you learn, right? Not only do you live, but you learn there. It's great communities where you get to explore deeply and engage around a theme. You get to learn some of the crucial skills you learn as a student around who are you, what are your values, how are you in community, what does it mean to be a part of the community, and what does it mean to work with folks who are different. So learning communities is, of course, a meaningful and impactful part of your residential experience, of your experience here as a student. So we ask you to take some time and explore different options and try to make sense around and make some good decisions around where do you see yourself for the next semester at least. You can always change next year. So again, learning communities is where you'll be, what you'll be selecting among other things in your housing contract. We're going to really do our best to place folks within their desired learning communities. For the most part, we do a good job of getting folks within their top 3 choices, but it doesn't always happen. The challenge for us is that at this moment, most of our residence communities are currently filled, not currently filled. A lot of our residence communities have students already placed to them, so we'll do the best we can to get folks in the highest choice possible. If for some reason you're not in your top choice or your preferred choice, that's okay, it happens. The residential experience is important, but it's only part of your entire UVM experience here. So what we'll recommend you do if for some reason you don't get your desired learning community is just come to campus 2 weeks after you arrive in February. We'll open up the training spaces process where you can switch in and out of a learning community. So that's a bit about our learning community process. Let me just share with you that you will hear from us on January 7th. On January 7th is when you will get your room assignment, your learning community assignment, and also your roommate assignment. So it's going to be a big hallmark day, and I'm sure you're all going to be very excited to get the information necessary there. Please know that as soon as you receive your assignments, both your roommate assignment, learning community assignment, and also your roommate, we will also ask you to fill out the spring housing planning form. That's a very important form because it allows us to identify what is going to be your plan for quarantine. Now, Gary will talk a bit more about the details, but your quarantine plan is critical to your safe return to campus or your safe entry to campus. It's going to impact which day you will start or which day you will arrive on campus, just so you know. So Gary will talk a bit more about that. Just a note, if you are a transfer student who is over the age of 20 and you are interested in housing, please know that you can sign up for housing via the housing request list. And right now we are, as soon as you fill out that form, we will open up the housing contract for you because we do have spaces available for anyone who's interested. Okay, so right now I think we need to talk a bit more about quarantine. It's very important method of keeping us safe, keeping you safe in your travels here, and making sure that our community continues to succeed with that incredible, with the incredible results that we experienced this fall. So I'm going to hand it over to Gary, who's going to walk us through this part.
Thank you very much, Ralph. Vermont, like all states, have very specific guidelines regarding travel and quarantine for people who want to come to Vermont. Basically, it's you have to quarantine for 7 days prior to arriving in Vermont, and at the end of the 7 days, take a COVID-19 PCR test, wait for the negative results, continue to quarantine, and then you can come to Vermont. You can also opt to quarantine for 14 days at home prior to coming to Vermont and then come without a PCR test. The second option is you can come to Vermont, you have to quarantine in Vermont for 7 days, at the end of the 7th day, get a COVID-19 test, wait for those results, and then you could end your quarantine. Or you can quarantine for 14 days in Vermont and then complete that quarantine period without the test. We recognize that this is challenging and hard for many people to accommodate into your schedules. We've actually created a very helpful tool that's on their website to help you calculate what your requirements are. But I want to talk about 2 very specific options we have for you. First is those students who cannot travel directly from their home or wherever they're at to UVM uninterrupted, or they have to travel by way of a plane, a train, or some type of congregate carrier. And when I mean uninterrupted is I'm driving from Chicago to Burlington and I need to spend a night somewhere along the way halfway there. You can't come directly. For those people, we're offering you the opportunity to quarantine after you arrive at UVM. You would arrive on Tuesday the 19th, check into your residence hall, and then you'd be staying at a nearby hotel along with other people. And there'll be probably about 250 to 275 of your fellow students that are in the same category. When you arrive, you'll take a test, a COVID-19 test. You'll stay there for 7 days. And at the end of the 7 days, you'll get another test and then wait for your results. And then you could move back into your halls. We recognize and we really want to encourage you to take this option here because we'll provide all the arrangements for you. You don't have to try to find a place, an Airbnb or anything in the area to stay. You can make all these arrangements directly through UVM like Raf indicated. Second is to do that quarantine before you arrive. Like I explained, if you're able to drive, say, from Boston, New York City, and you can leave directly and without short stops for either gas or for meals or use a rest stop, you come directly to UVM uninterrupted, you can do that quarantine at home with the same schedule. 7 days, test at the end of the 7th day, wait for the negative results, and then come here. And in both those instances, and I know you'll be hearing from about testing in a few minutes, if you do test positive, we'll be in touch with you to talk about what your options are. We really hope that family members will come along with you when you come up to campus, but Vermont also has some very specific guidelines about family members dropping off students. Specifically, you need to travel in a personal vehicle to and from Vermont. Unfortunately, at this time, you're not allowed to enter any of the university's facilities. You're allowed to help your student curbside with unloading, and then they have to carry their belongings up to the halls. You're going to be required to wear a face mask anytime you're outside of your vehicle. We're expecting you to stay 6 feet away from people you do not live with. And you may, if you need to, stay overnight at a Vermont lodging property only if you quarantine at that property and stay there with the exception of coming to campus during that period of time. Hope that helps, and I want to turn over to Annie.
Great. Thanks so much, Gary. So let's walk through what we have come up with in terms of a checklist for you. I love checklists myself. It helps me stay organized. So we've just made an easy one here for you. And all the things you should really be doing before you even think about getting in a car or a plane or anything else to come here. You should get all this stuff done, preferably over the break, right? Before January even comes around or the end of January comes around. So first of all, we've been talking about it a lot, sign the green and gold promise. That'll be sent out to you on December 15th. So be sure to look for that and sign off on that, get that done and out of the way. Make a plan to take your pre-arrival COVID-19 test. Gary will talk a little bit more about testing and this test in particular, but we do ask you to take a test before you even get to Burlington. So make sure that you are well aware of what that means and how soon you need to take it before your arrival. And then there's a few more logistical things you'll want to do when you go to My UVM. There's some updated information that we'll just want to make sure we have from you to make sure we can contact you at any point. And be sure our family members also we know how to contact them. So those things are your local address. So if you're living in and around the campus, a local address will be needed. If you're in the halls, it's okay. Residential Life will tell us what your residence hall assignment is. Certainly emergency contact. So if something does happen and we need to contact someone, who should that be for you? Missing person is also a requirement actually by federal law that we need to ask you if somebody is missing, if a student is missing, we need to be able to know who to contact in that situation. And then CAT Alert. CAT Alert is our emergency response and notification process, right? So when something happens on campus and we need you to stay put or stay over in a certain area or avoid another area on campus, we actually send you what's called a CAT Alert. We send it by email, phone, text, whatever you want to sign up for under that segment of My UVM. And we highly, highly encourage you to do that because it gets you all the helpful campus information in case of emergency. And so it's really helpful to have, like, what if we have a snowstorm, right? And we will tell you like what's going to happen and what you need to do in case of a bad snowstorm, although it snows a lot, so don't worry about that. But if it's a really bad snowstorm, Cat Alert is something we would use to notify you about. So the next slide, if we can go to that, is just some good apps that you'll want to be sure you download, get used to, play with them a little bit before you come to campus. So Co-Verified is the testing app. That's where your scheduled tests, you'll get everything you need to know about your tests there. You'll get your test results there, all kinds of good things. The Byte U, make sure it has that U on it, Byte University, Byte U. That's for dining. And so you'll want to download that app because even if you're on campus or off campus, that's the way you order your meal, whether you're dining in a residential dining facility or whether you're dining in a retail facility on campus. That is how you order your meal ahead of time. So it cuts down on lines, right, around in the dining facilities, and hopefully it speeds up the process for you as well to pick it up. Navigate is all about academic success. This is your home for everything academic and academic support, how you work with your advisor, how you create study buddies, your course schedule. Anything and everything about academics is through Navigate, so I highly recommend you download that one. And then UVM Compass is what you'll use for that first week or so on campus, maybe first 2 weeks. And it's kind of that program of events and activities and schedules that you will need to kind of guide you through those first 2 weeks, especially while you're in quarantine. And then that first week as a new person to our campus. And then Live Safe is the last one I want to talk about. Live Safe is a campus app that we use for safety. So it has lots of great resources and information on the app just about UVM. But it also has great tools on it for, like, you can ask friends to, hey, I'm going to go from this part of campus to this part of campus. You want to kind of just tag along with me here, and I'll let you know when I get to my next location. So it's kind of like almost having an escort without the ability to have somebody walking with you. But it's a great app, lots of good safety resources. And so all of these is what you should really think about seriously in terms of downloading and getting used to them. So that's it for getting prepped. I hope you're getting excited as we go through this. I'm getting excited. This is some of my favorite time of the year, welcoming new students. So Ryan, do you want us to just keep on going here maybe and get right into move-in and dining and Gary with the testing? So we'll just keep going. Gary, I think you're next up with the testing slide.
Thank you, Annie. One of the real keys to the success of this past fall has been the comprehensive testing strategy that we have had. And I'm going to try to walk you through this. And there's a lot of information that's available on our website about this. One of the plans that we used successfully over the summer, and we'll be doing it again this January, is that all of our students, either living on campus or off campus, that are part of the required testing program are required to complete a pre-arrival COVID-19 test that will be provided by UVM. What we'll be doing is to send you an email with detail on this program, but what you're going to do is you're going to need to order the kit online, very simple, it'll be mailed to you. You're going to need to quarantine for a period of time, take that test right before on day 7, wait for those results, and then you can come to campus. We'll be giving all sorts of directions on how to calculate when you should start your quarantine, when you should order your test, when you should plan to take your test, and how you get those results. This was really effective for the university to identify only a small number of students in the fall that had tested positive for COVID-19. We worked with them to isolate and stay home, but they all came and joined the university community eventually after they completed their isolation. Second is, on campus, we had a very aggressive testing campaign. All of our students are required to take a day 0 test. So the day you arrive on campus as part of the move-in and check-in process, you're going to need to go over to the Davis Center, which is the heart of campus, is where our testing center is location, and take a day 0 test. And then after that, you'll need to take your first day 7 test. And we'll walk you through this. It's easy to schedule through the Co-Verified app. And then every 7 days after that, you are expected to take a weekly or every 7-day COVID test. As Annie mentioned, we use an app, which there's lots of directions on the Testing Center website, that is called Co-Verified, which is used to schedule your app. What we do is we post half-hour time slots 5 days a week. You can go on there, schedule your test, and then go there at 2 o'clock on Wednesdays. And then typically about 24 to 36 hours later, you will get your test results on that map. We do have a process by which, if you believe that you should be exempted from the university's testing requirements, either permanently or temporarily, you can fill out those requests. Those requests are reviewed and approved. It's not an automatic that if you submitted a testing exemption that you will be exempt for that. Some of the permanent reasons are things like you had previously tested positive for COVID-19 and you're in that 90-day window period of time where you do not need to test. Temporary exemption is you have a family emergency and you need to miss your every 7-day test and you need to go home for that period of time. You can take a temporary pause in that so that you're not sanctioned. But we're going to be here, and our folks in the testing center are here to help you walk through and work through all those issues with testings.
Great.
Moving back
Thank
to
you,
Annie.
Gary. Thanks a lot. And so let's just talk about the calendar and how things line up a little bit as we head into January, what the important dates that you'll want to make sure you mark on your calendar, and what it looks like as we kind of move into the spring semester. So the biggest issue is quarantining, right? And getting here safely right after you've taken your pre-arrival test. So you want to make sure you quarantine either with UVM or at home, as Gary just went through. And that's going to happen. If you need to do that, that's going to happen between the 19th and the 28th, especially if you're quarantining with UVM. You got to be here on the 19th and start off just like at the same time with everybody else, because your tests line up like that, right? So that's why you have to be here on the 19th. And then January 28th is another marker on the calendar for new and new to campus students. That's when you can arrive. If you aren't required to quarantine with UVM, that's your date of arrival, the day you'll take your day 0 test. And that's when we start to kick off like the orientation program, get you used to campus a little bit more. Our director of orientation will be up soon to talk a little bit more about that. But that's the day that new students and new to campus students really should be here to start getting kind of acclimated to campus and make sure that we are getting you all the information you need to have a really strong start to the semester. January 29th is that orientation experience kind of in full for that day. And that's what Eric will talk about in a minute. And then January 30th and 31st is when all other returning students move in and arrive and get their day 0 tests as well. So that's kind of the calendar, how it flows, and what that looks like, if you've got any questions about that. The next 2 slides are just a little bit about dining, because food is important to us and we want to make sure everybody eats, right? No matter where you are and what's going on. But mostly we want to make sure that you know that the staff and the dining services take all of the precautions necessary to keep things really clean and safe. They monitor what's happening in the dining facilities constantly. They work with the Department of Health in Vermont to make sure that they're abiding by all state regulations. So the more you can cooperate with our staff and dining services, the better off everybody will be, because they have a really hard job of making sure that not only providing really great food, but doing it in a really safe way. So you can see on this list and in this slide, all the things that they do to make sure that they are being safe and that you are being safe as well. And the one particular bullet I want to talk about is seating and flow of traffic. You know, we still have to stay 6 feet apart in the dining halls. I know people love to eat. It's such a community thing to do, and yet we still have to stay 6 feet apart, and that's hard on the staff because they're the ones that have to kind of walk up to you and ask you to do that. But anyway, you'll start to get used to it. You'll start to see and meet our dining staff who are just terrific. The next thing about dining on the next slide, if we can change over, is just more about your meal plans, right? And what that's going to be like. So all new students are assigned the residential meal plan that has 150 points to it. So students can make changes. You can change that at any point, but that's what you get assigned as you begin with us. And you can make that change right through the middle of February. You just have to go to that link. Students will use the Bite app that I talked about previously to do all of the mobile orders and how you take out the food from retail or our residential dining halls. If you have food allergies or you're worried about anything regarding your nutrition or particular issues around food that you really want to make sure you just have questions about what is available to you, then certainly contact Nicole. She's fantastic. She is our nutritionist for the campus and the dietitian, and she is wonderful. She will help you navigate whatever you need to make sure that you're getting nutritious food that is really healthy and safe for yourself. And then if you have information about quarantine meals and what to expect with dining, it's all available at that website right there. So I know some of you might have lots of questions, but dining services is really open to feedback as well as getting your questions now, right? Or in early January. Reach out to dining services if you have any particular issues. So that's it. I'm going to hand it straight over to Eric, who is our director of orientation. He is fabulous, and he's going to talk to you a little bit about what the orientation program is all about. Eric, you're up.
Wonderful. Thank you, Annie. Good evening and hello, everybody. It's a pleasure to be here and to share some time and space with you. As Annie mentioned, my name is Eric Cardonaje, and I serve as our Director of Orientation. And we are so excited that you are choosing UVM to be your home. So I kind of wanted to walk through what the orientation experience will be like. And so there are 2 slides that I have for you tonight. And so I like to consider orientation as a 2-part experience. Before you actually get here to UVM or before the first day of classes, we do have an online orientation module that will go live on January 11th. So you will have access to this module, and it will be through what we call UVM Blackboard, which is our online course management system. You'll use your UVM Net ID and password to log in and to access this module. There's going to be a variety of resources and pieces of information in that module that will be helpful for you as a new student. So things from academic support services like the tutoring center or the writing center. You'll hear from your academic units. There'll be pieces about getting involved, what kind of student clubs or orgs can I be a part of. We'll have some things around our common ground values and how that shows up for us on campus, and just some additional gentle reminders about some other things that we're going to ask you to do to take care of business before you get here at UVM, or if you're at home before you start that first day of classes. So please be on the lookout for an email reminder on January 11th and before that to start your orientation module. The second part of this will be the next slide. As Annie mentioned, there will be kind of a full day formal orientation program. It will be a virtual orientation experience given that the situation of COVID here in Burlington. So again, we just wanted to make sure that you are safe and that you are successful. And we are going to kind of walk through a few pieces of the program itself, which will consist of a nice little warm welcome. In the month of January, you'll have a chance to meet with an orientation leader who is a peer returning student who has lots of wisdom and knowledge to share with you. And it'll also be an opportunity to connect with other peers who will be coming to UVM in the spring. So it's a great way to connect with your fellow classmates, your fellow students who might be living in the halls with you. It might be some folks who are attending virtually from at home. So we're excited for you to do that. There is another piece to this about meeting with your academic unit. So you will have an opportunity to speak with some of the student services staff who are phenomenal at what they do. And it will be a chance for you to get to know what things to look out for throughout the semester. Who do you talk to if you have a specific academic related question? How do you find your academic advisor? If you have questions about your course schedule, there will be things that they will be able to answer during that portion. The next piece of this is about breakout sessions. There's kind of be what I like to call choose your own adventure, where you'll have an opportunity to attend 30-minute breakout sessions that might range from how do I get more involved? What should I expect in the next couple of weeks if I want to be a part of, the swimming team or do intramural sports? So there'll be folks that you can chat with there. To things about, I am thinking about my long-term career plan and what I need to do to be successful here from the get-go. And so there'll be an opportunity to meet with folks from the Career Center and many more great campus partners to help you become successful. At the end of the day, we are going to round out with another meeting with your orientation leader to kind of just make sure what you need to enter the weekend and to really prepare you for the rest of the semester. So another opportunity to make sure that you just have a close connection before the spring semester starts. There will be a variety of social events and programs that happen, so please, please, please be on the lookout for that. Those will be listed in one of the apps that Annie has listed to make sure that you download. So please be sure to download that UVM Compass app, which will have all of that information there. And at the end of the day, if you don't remember anything that I have said, please go to this link, go.uvm.edu/spring orientation, and all of the information will be there to help you figure out, again, what does the orientation experience entail. So I can't say it enough. Welcome again. We're excited to have you. I know there's a few more folks who are here to chat with you tonight, so I'll turn it over to them.
So now picture yourself with us and we're starting off and you're going to class and you're meeting other students and you're starting to engage in different activities. Well, we want to walk you through what that really will look like and some of our hopes and dreams for you in that way. So the next slide is what we refer to as our flourishing model, because we don't want you to just survive when you're on campus or when you're learning at home. We want you to thrive. We want you to have a UVM experience that is the best it can be. And the more that we help structure different activities and learning environments for you, the better off you will be. So you can see the two big green bubbles. I mean, that right-hand side, learning something new, you'll be hopefully be doing that every day inside the classroom and outside the classroom. And then that other big green bubble about interacting is so key. That's why you're coming to college. I mean, that's really a lot about what college is interacting and meeting new people and kind of figuring out what your likes, dislikes are, your interests, and making great friends and coalitions and moving on from there. And then all those other bubbles, don't discount those. Those are really important. The diet and the exercise and sleep. That is so key to make sure you get a great schedule, playing, making sure you're still having fun and you're still finding joy in every day, even though we're in the middle of a pandemic, and then certainly helping others and being gracious and having gratitude toward others is important, and finding meaning, whatever that means for you, and finding meaning and purpose from your college experience. So I just want to set the stage for when we talk about engaging with the campus and engaging while you're here. These are some of the things that we want you to think about and that we want you to be active about and purposeful about to set the stage for you to have a really, really successful and meaningful time with UVM. So I'm going to turn it over to Jay Dickinson, who's going to walk through the learning resources as part of that learning something new every day. And how do you do that? And what are the services on campus to do that? So Jay, can you walk us through that slide?
Yeah, thanks, Annie. So first of all, get ready for the technology platforms that really have become central to the way that faculty and students are interacting right now. So you'll be using Microsoft Teams, to interact with faculty and other students for both remote programs and for your learning. You'll also be using Blackboard, which Eric already mentioned, which is our course management system, and you'll get to get familiar with that really quickly. And also Outlook, which is our email system on campus, and that's the way that you'll be expected to communicate with your faculty, which is through your UVM email account. Also on your checklist, you'll notice that we do have a laptop requirement, and there is information in there about the type of laptop and the level of processor speed and memory and so forth that will allow you to be successful in using all of these platforms so that you can interact effectively in all of your classes. I also want to point out that we have a lot of academic support services on campus, and all of these services are available to you remotely, and regardless of whether you're an on-campus learner or if you're an at-home learner. So there is tutoring, there's study skills tutoring, subject area tutoring, some additional instruction available for certain subjects as well, all through our tutoring center. We also have writing tutors who will help you with your writing, either a specific assignment or general skills. And both of those are available free to all of our students. So make sure that you feel comfortable finding those, and you can schedule an appointment right online and even have an online meeting with a tutor. Also, don't forget, as was mentioned earlier, there is the Navigate app. One of the features of the Navigate app allows you to find study buddies who are in your specific section of a class. So if you're in a chemistry class and you're getting ready to study for an exam, you can use the study buddy feature to find other students in your same chemistry class who are also looking for study partners. There's also study spaces that will be scattered around campus. These are going to be heated spaces that allow you to sit in a quiet indoor space and be able to study or connect with a remote class. This is a chance for you to get out, move around campus, see other people, but still be able to connect with your classes and find a quiet space to study outside of your room and outside of your dorm. So please remember to take advantage of all of these things. They're available to help you, and there are people there who really want to help you succeed. So I'll hand it off to Annie, I think.
Yeah, I can do this one. I also want to, perhaps I think it's really important actually that Michelle does this one, okay, because it's all about our wellness resources. So yeah. Dr. Michelle Pavala is with us tonight as well, and really has been one of the key leaders in keeping our campus healthy. Michelle, if you are still with us, can you, you want to take this slide?
Yes, make sure. Yep. All right. Yeah, good evening. Welcome. So I'm the Medical Director of Student Health Services. I'm going to talk about our student wellness resources. This year, in addition to the standard college health services, due to COVID-19, we have engaged in many other areas to help students stay healthy and safe. Gary has already told you about our testing requirements. And UVM's Davis Center testing site makes getting a test every 7 days very convenient. And this has also allowed us to quickly identify people who have contracted the virus even before they develop symptoms. So it's really a great thing getting tested every 7 days. When and if a student tests positive, the Student Health Services team quickly starts contact tracing process. This is where we notify people that they've tested positive, and we ask them about close contacts. A close contact is defined as someone who has been within 6 feet of an infected person for more than 15 minutes during their infectious period. All close contacts are then informed of their possible exposure and the need to quarantine. Now, quarantine is used to keep someone who might have been exposed to COVID-19 away from others. This helps prevent spread of disease that can occur before a person knows they are sick, or if they're infected with the virus without feeling any symptoms at all. And people in quarantine need to stay separate from others and monitor their health. And then if they have not developed symptoms, they can end quarantine early after a test on or after day 7. And when that test comes back negative, they are done with quarantine. if anybody develops symptoms during quarantine, we get them tested right away. And if that's positive, then, we'll help people figure out what it means to isolate and where to do that. On-campus students who need to isolate or quarantine will do so in our on-campus separate housing for those purposes. And off-campus students will quarantine in their own rooms or apartments off campus. But throughout this process of contact tracing, we do partner closely with the Department of Health contact tracing team and epidemiology teams. Now, another way we've helped students stay safe and healthy is by vaccinating students against the flu. We've already administered nearly 5,000 flu vaccines right at the testing center, and that's really the most we've ever done, so it's really exciting. Also, we're emphasizing every day the importance of wearing masks, staying physically distanced, and hand washing, and these have been some significant priorities for us. So enough about COVID. Well, let's get to some traditional student wellness resources. So here at UVM, we have a team of college health professionals that are dedicated to providing student-centered, holistic care and resources to help students flourish at UVM and beyond. Our approach is always confidential, respectful, and affirming. And we serve students through 6 areas. Student health services, that's where I live. That's where you can get comprehensive primary care for illnesses, injuries, chronic health issues, medication management, screening and prevention, contraception, mental health management, flu shots, and more. Counseling and psychiatry services provides mental health care services and support through workshops, drop-in counseling, triage counseling, individual counseling, group counseling, case management, referrals, and psychiatric care as well. Our education outreach provides support for creating and maintaining a healthy, well-balanced lifestyle through programs and workshops. So be sure to check out UVM Board to see their offerings on mindfulness, meditation, wellness, nutrition, substance use, and sexual health. We also have athletic medicine department, which is comprised of the team physician and 9 athletic trainers, and they serve the needs of the student athletes here at UVM. Along with athletic medicine, we have the sports psychology and counseling, and that's just a collaborative initiative to help support the overall well-being of our student athletes. Lastly, you can get nutritional support and advice from our registered dietitian too. So, and that's all I have. Annie, I think you're next.
Okay. Great. Thanks so much, Michelle. And now really it's the last slide we have before we start to kick it over to questions and answers and a big date of when we're coming back in January. But let me just run through this quickly. Remember on that bubble sheet I just showed you that talked about flourishing and thriving? Well, this is that interacting, having fun, and really getting out of your shell and kind of experiencing everything that UVM has to offer. So I want to highlight a few things to help you do that as a new Catamount. So UVM Welcome Week, it's a great week. It's the first week of classes, and there's lots of activities, events, programs that we want you to just kind of show up to. It helps you start to get to know the campus. They give out great giveaways and UVM swag, and it's just a fun way to start to make your way and kick off a really good semester from a fun week. Student Life Office and SGA, the Student Government Association, are both located on the 3rd floor of the Davis Center. Highly recommend you checking out both of those offices. They are the students and the staff professionals who work with all of the clubs and organizations on campus, and we have over 200 of them. And if you can't find one that you kind of connect with, then you find 5 other people and make your own club. And we just love that our students are so active and really get engaged in what the campus has to offer. And then UVM Board, this is your home. This is a website and will become your home for knowing what's happening on campus, off campus, on campus, any program, any concert, comedy, anything that's going on campus or off. The UVM Board website actually is nationally recognized and is a great place to find out all the different events day by day. And then living well, that's what Michelle just touched on in terms of it's our health and outreach and education office on campus. It's also in the Davis Center. And these are a great bunch of students and staff that just want to make sure that you have all the information you need to stay healthy, because college can be stressful. It's a big deal, right? And your routine can change up and things can happen. And these folks are there for you to talk about whatever you want to talk about and offer programs, everything from eating right to, alcohol or drug use, or working with your roommate, or, mental health resources on campus. They have it all. They've really talked about a large spectrum of different health resources for you. Campus Rec, all the ways to be healthy, get out there, be active. They offer all of our intramurals and fitness and activities in the gym or online. They've been doing a lot of online stuff and have really done a great job, even during the pandemic, to offer fun activities and build team spirit across our Catamount community. And then safe social spaces. We're trying to get creative as winter approaches, so we're going to try to have an outdoor ice rink for you all. And we're going to do some fire pits outside, so you can, as you walk by, you can maybe hang out safely, enjoy the snow and some fire pits. And then we'll have 2 tents on campus that will also be kind of a home for whether you want to hang out there and maybe socialize in between classes, or we can have programs in those tents or hang out and have dining in those tents. So be on the lookout for lots of great activities, lots of ways to stay interactive, but mostly we have to do this in a really safe way. But we're not going to let us stop us from doing some great campus programs. And then that last slide, I'll just take this and then bring it off to Ryan here with a question and answer time. But January 12th, we'll be coming back to you. So mark your calendar again. I guess I'm the one that talks about the calendar tonight. But mark your calendar again for January 12th, 7 o'clock, and we'll come back to you live from UVM and walk through with you any updates that we know, any new information that we might have about planning for your arrival on campus, especially with all the different guidelines that we have to adhere to. So that'll be your update. Please make sure you tune into that because things can change even from one month to another. So make sure you tune in and we look forward to seeing you there too. But I'm going to kick us off over to Ryan, our host for the night, who is also a superhero. I don't know what his superhero power is. I think it's running these sessions. So Ryan, let's see your superhero power and get these Q&As going.
All right, thanks, Annie. And I will be the first to let you know I am not a superhero. Actually, appreciate you telling me about that ice rink. I will stay away from that. I grew up in Virginia and I'm not qualified for ice skating, but maybe I'll learn. But in any event, thank you to our panel of experts for providing such great information. And we're going to have them stick around for just a little bit longer so that they can address some of your questions. I know many of you have already had your questions answered in the chat, but what we'll do right now is I'm going to go over and see what we have here. And I'm actually going to take this first question here. So I'm actually going to throw this one to Annie. What happens if a student gets really sick and needs to be hospitalized? Or Michelle, Dr. Paola.
Sure, I can kick it off and then hand it off to Michelle. Well, if a student gets hospitalized because they become really sick, first thing is we want to make sure they're doing okay. And it depends actually on how they get to the hospital, believe it or not. And so we'll want to know that you are in the hospital. The best way to do that is to tell one of us. So particularly your residence hall staff or an RA if you're on campus. Or police services if you're off campus. Hopefully your friends or yourself will reach out to us, let you know that you're in the hospital. We hope you contact your family members and let them know you're there. And then if you contact us, then we will certainly reach out to you We will make sure that we contact your academic units about your courses. Michelle's office will be contacted, the Student Health Services office, so they can follow up with you about your treatment and anything else you may need once you leave the hospital. But really, it's all about making sure somebody knows that you're there, right? So it's not only your family that should know that you're there, but somebody on campus should really definitely find out that you're there so we can support you through that process. Michelle, do you have anything else you want to add to that question, or is that kind of what happens?
That was really great. And I would just add that the hospital that is here is practically on campus and is excellent. It's the best. It's the best in the state and in surrounding states. So you can feel confident if you do get sick and need to be hospitalized, they will take really good care of you there.
Okay, great. Thank you so much for that. So this question is about housing. So perhaps Raf or Annie can answer this one. But the question is there a way for students over 20 interested in living off campus to contact each other in order to find a roommate? So what guidance, general guidance might you have about off-campus housing?
Annie, do you want to take that one?
Well, sure. I think for off-campus housing, it's really, we have an office called the Office of Student and Community Relations. We call it OSCR for short. And actually, they have software in their office that you can contact them and ask them to share the software with you. And it's basically a database program where roommates can find each other. You're looking for similar apartments, and they also have ways to connect people who are looking for roommates. And I know there's lots of local resources for off-campus students, and our Office of Student and Community Relations really is the place that you can find those answers. So I would contact them, and they can start to connect you with other students who might be looking for housing, as well as housing itself off campus. Hope that helps.
Great. And this question here is actually an on-campus housing, and I'm actually going to sort of broaden it and make it twofold. So the first question is, can a student request a single room? And then the second part of the question is really about student life more broadly. So just kind of thinking about going back to the ice rink, will UVM's gym and athletic center and pool be open this spring? And will you rent ice skates equipment, or should students bring their own? So two-part question, single room, and then using the athletic facilities and equipment.
Thanks, Ryan. I'll start with the single room question and then talk a bit more about a little bit about on-campus housing experience, and then hand it off to Andy to maybe circle us around. So we have for a long time just shifted away from a model of the room style being what leads in our experience. We are very much data driven and know how students are successful, and oftentimes that is by a meaningful residential experience more than a room type. And the reality is that our infrastructure, we just don't have enough singles for folks interested in a typical year. So we really focus mostly on learning communities because we know that there are good outcomes for folks who have a good residential experience based on the ability to connect, to meet, to learn, to grow, more than they are for the type of room that you have. So that's just not how our infrastructure is set up, unfortunately. The reality is, though, that in this year where we have the ability to have students select or elect the at-home option, there are some likelihoods in some circumstances in which a student may not have a roommate. It doesn't mean that that room is a single. It's not designated as a single. Someone can move in at any time. We just have a high propensity of folks in what we call a half-occupied room. So that's important for you all to know. What I will share is that I think, and this is true for all of us, this is our second time around. There was so much we did not know in August, a lot that we did, but a lot that we were unsure of. And I think we, this semester, or this upcoming semester, are going to be so much better positioned to provide students a much more, still not going to be the same of what it was pre-COVID, but a bit more of a connected experience and intentional experience. I think we've done this before. It's our second time around. We have a clear understanding of what are the dynamics of COVID, how does that impact the student experience, and have really been spending a lot of time thinking about and figuring out how to make sure that while you're coming to campus, it's going to be completely different than if it were non-COVID time. How can we still provide some of the experiences that are meaningful for you, that allow you to connect with your residents, that allow you to connect with our staff? So we'll be doing, at least in the residence halls, our part to help support that. And I'll kick it off to Annie to talk a little bit more about what the other aspects of student life are going to be like.
Thanks, Raf. Thanks a lot. So to get to this person's question about the gym and athletic center, I know the pool is closed during this time. The fitness center is open. Not sure about the gym. It really gonna depend on what the cases look like around campus and how stringent they need to be in those areas. We also are hoping to actually have varsity athletics, competing in the gym this coming winter. So I would just really go online because things can shift so much. But I go online under UVM athletics and campus rec and look and see what they're offering. I do know campus rec offered a lot this fall. As I said, they kept things open. The fitness center was open. They're doing a lot with intramurals. So just look that up and make sure that they're still active. I know they will be. I'm just not sure which ones will be able to be open. But they are great about keeping the website up to date. So check those out online, and you should be good to go.
Great. All right, so I'm actually going to kick a couple more questions back to you, Raf. So 2 parts again, both related this time. If I already completed the housing and meal contract before I deferred, will I need to do it again? That's part 1. And then part 2, someone poses a question. I'm not entirely clear on the move-in dates as they relate to quarantine. The student quarantines at home for 7 days and then gets tested, drives directly to campus. Do they arrive on 1/28? If not, can you clarify? So just some color on that would be helpful.
Yes, and as you shared, I think I forgot the first question. Oh, deferred students with a contract. Yeah, so if you have deferred and filled out a contract, we have to preserve your contract. It's still on file, so we will honor your learning community choices. We can go ahead and do that, and we'll do so. If for some reason you wanted that to change, you can email us and we'll try to reopen it for you. So those would be sort of one-off exceptions that we will do our best to accommodate as we can. The next question was about quarantine and dates of arrival. Can you repeat that context unless Gary understood it? And I always defer to Gary as a quarantine king is what I call him, because he knows all the nuances. So can you repeat the question, Ryan?
Absolutely. So I'm not entirely clear on the move-in dates as they relate to quarantine. If a new student quarantines at home for 7 days, then gets tested, then drives directly to campus, do they arrive on January 28th? If not, can you clarify?
The 28th. They would have to do their pre-arrival test. I always look at Gary to make sure he corrects me. The pre-arrival test, quarantine at home for 7 days, drive directly without any prolonged stops, and they will move in on the 28th in time to meet us at their front desk and begin the orientation process with Eric and his team.
So we're going to provide a tool to help you calculate backwards if you're planning to arrive, say, the 28th, when you should plan to take your pre-arrival test, wait for those results, and then go back 7 days from that to plan when you need to start your quarantine and when you need to order your kit. So we'll take that into account because there's some shipping regulations around FedEx not shipping the samples on weekends. So we're going to have a way, if you got to arrive on the 28th or you got to arrive on the 25th, to figure each and every day what you need to do in order to arrive on your determined date to campus.
Great. Thank you for that. And so there are a couple of questions actually related to quarantine. So if students choose to quarantine on campus beginning January 19th, are they provided housing, and is there a cost to quarantining in the local hotel? So who would like to take that question?
I can take that, Ryan.
Go for it, Amy.
So students choose to quarantine with us at the nearby hotel. Yep, they got to be there by January 19th, provided housing and meals. And that's all included as long as you are authorized as an on-campus student to be on campus with us. Then that is all included in your already starts your meal plan and your housing contract. So no extra costs for you there. And all the testing will be at the hotel as well. And so will our dining services. So it's going to be an experience that's all kind of going to be on site with staff who are there to help you. So we're going to do what we can to do everything to get your needs met during that quarantine time.
Sounds great. All right, I'm going to throw one more question at you, and this is sort of getting us back to some of the original information about Vermonters, but our students who've already been approved to be a stay-at-home and are already in Burlington, they need to take a 0-day COVID test. So Gary, is that a question that you can answer?
Sure. So if the person is an at-home student living in Burlington, as I see the question, they're going to have to answer certain questions, determine whether they are really exempt from the testing protocol. So if they are classified as at home, but they're living with other University of Vermont students or maybe coming to campus, they will not be exempted from the testing protocol. If you're completely exempted from the testing protocol, you do not need to do a day 0, day 7, or any test.
That sounds good. And this is a general question, just with regard to academic engagement, and I'm going to throw it to Jay actually. So Jay, if I'm a student and I have a question about academics, should I reach out to my academic department directly? Should I, reach out to, someone else? What's the best approach for just general academic questions that I have?
I think there's an opportunity there to do both. You should definitely reach out to the Student Services office in your individual college, but then at the same time, there's no harm in emailing the chair of your department. You may have already been paired with an advisor in your department, and you can get that information and see whether you can have the opportunity to connect with them in January and get an answer to some specific questions you might have about major requirements or choosing classes. But you will have an advisor working with you on your registration regardless. So that's also a great opportunity to ask those academic questions.
Outstanding. Okay, and then this is another actual housing question here. So the student is asking about basically, roommate selection. So my friend who lived on campus for the fall semester is now alone in a double, and this person deferred for the fall semester. They want to be roommates in the spring. So what's the process? I know there's a lot of ebb and flow with people, electing either at home or on campus options. But from this point on, if you're a deferred student and you want to be paired with a specific roommate, Raph, is that possible? Is that a question you could answer?
Absolutely, that's a good one. I attempted to answer and know that the response here is a bit lopsided and intentionally so. So at the current moment, we have students who are currently assigned to these spaces. These students are aware that there's a likelihood that they might, if they have a vacancy in the room, might get a random roommate or someone who they don't know. They themselves have the possibility of pulling someone in. So they can pull in someone who's starting in the fall right now, right? But I have to be the owner of the room, and I can, because it's my space designated to me at the moment, and I've lived here all semester, I can pull in someone who is a new student. Because I'm already assigned to the space and I'm just pulling in one person. But we do not have the capacity to do, Ryan, because most of these spaces are half filled, is to have the roommate matching pairing option, which most folks love, right? Folks are saying, I'm new, I've met someone else who's new, can we live together? Unfortunately, the vast majority of all of our spaces are already half filled. So if we were to do that and allow folks to sign up for a roommate, it would just be a disingenuous process because we just don't have the capacity to hold that. So we don't want to have folks sign up for something we know they can't have. However, For students who are currently already living here, they were on campus last semester and they're assigned to a space, they can pull in someone who's a new student. And they have been doing that already. That form is available to them, not to this population, unfortunately, but it is available to students who were on campus last semester.
Great. Thank you, Raph. So I'm actually going to throw this question to Gary. I think it is a good one, but others are welcome to chime in as well. And that is, are students allowed to go into Burlington, go into shops, restaurants? So Gary, I'm gonna have you answer that one.
Yeah, sure. So people are allowed to go and shop in Burlington and be out in public, but Vermont has very strict mask requirements, social distancing requirements, all sorts of protective measures, which has resulted in Vermont having a credible track record in dealing with the pandemic. So if you go out to any number of the different stores in the area, you're just going to need to be expected to be compliant with that. I will tell you, I really want you to be selective about that and make the right decisions there. Right now, there are a number of cases, and it is on the uptick in Vermont. You're putting yourself at risk. So I would just be cautious that unless you absolutely have to, not to go out into the community at this point.
All right. So yeah, definitely thinking about the health and safety of not only people here on campus, but in the Burlington community at large. So I'm going to take one more question. I know many of you are having your questions answered in the chat here, but this is a question. So, as you think about the experience that students have had, this fall semester was the first full semester that our students have had during this global pandemic. So what I thought might be helpful is if each of you could give a survival tip, a success tip, right? What's one thing that you could point to that might help ensure that these students are as successful and as happy as possible? So we'll start with Raph. Give us some wisdom.
I don't know that I have wisdom, but I have words. I think what I would share is we want you to be safe, and even within the realm of safety, there are opportunities to engage. And I think it might look different than what we have traditionally seen, but I really encourage folks to get out of their rooms and get out of their space. It was so unusual for me, as I've been here for 10 years, to walk the residence halls on the weekdays and just see it so empty. That was so not the norm. And we really want to encourage folks to always be safe, to always have a mask, to gather in appropriate group sizes, but you can leave your room. That is allowed. We have tents, utilize those spaces, utilize the spaces and opportunities there are to engage safely as much as you can. It's going to help you feel more connected, happier, less alone during what's going to be our typical Vermont winters, which are dark and cold already. So it's going to help you really connect and build some strong relationships.
Thank you for that, Raph. And if you want a good comedy show, you can just come watch me perform at the ice rink. Jay, what's your tip to help folks be successful and manage?
So I think my tip is reach out. There is so much help available on this campus: academic support, mental health support, physical health support, people who are willing to give you plenty of ideas and opportunities to socially engage. Don't sit alone and think that there's no one available to help you. There's tons of support and help and people who are interested in making sure that you're successful at UVM. So take advantage of that. And if you don't know where to look, turn to your RA, turn to someone in your hall and say, where do I go to connect or to find out this information or to get that academic support? And they will absolutely help you do that.
Awesome. How about you, Gary? And I want to give you a big shout out because I would say that, having been to the COVID Center, among many of the other initiatives that you've helped organize, new students coming in, I know it's a lot of information and, can cause a great deal of anxiety just kind of thinking about operating in this environment. But the UVM leadership has done it really well. And I went to the COVID Center, I think 12 times. And I think the longest I stood in line was about 6 minutes, maybe. So, but anyway, Gary, how about a success tip from you?
Sure. Thank you, Ryan. I guess what I would say is when we set out to do all the planning, particularly around the co-curricular life on campus, when I met with groups and I met with people that were planning, I always made it clear that we should not be determining what we're not going to do, but what we're going to do and how we're going to do it differently. And I have seen some remarkable programs that have happened on our campus and events that have occurred on our campus that you might have otherwise said it's not going to happen. This past weekend, I had a chance to watch a jazz concert that was done by different people in different locations, and they popped up the different instruments on the screen at the same time. We did it. We've done dance recitals. We've done countless events. So don't come looking to find out what we're not going to do, but what we're going to do and how we're going to do it differently.
Awesome. Thank you so much for that. And big shout out, you know, for mentioning jazz. I'm a huge jazz fan. So when we go back to normal, Hotel Vermont, Wednesday nights, Ray Vega, who is a UVM faculty member and Grammy award-winning jazz artist, you can see him and his ensemble play in the lobby for free. Take advantage of that. Eric, nugget of wisdom.
Absolutely. I love this question. My nugget, I have two nuggets of wisdom, actually. I never do just one. So one is from a dear friend and colleague. She says, get comfortable with being uncomfortable. And I think that speaks volumes to everybody is going to be in the same shoes starting in the spring. They're going to be nervous. They're going to be excited. They're going to be anxious. They're going to be stressed. So put yourself out there. You're not alone in your feelings, and so take some risk, take some chances, you know, join that one virtual event that's happening. It may not be what you're used to, but I think you'll get some huge rewards and benefits out of it. And my last nugget of wisdom and advice is, as Jay kind of alluded to, you'll have an orientation leader who will be with you prior to the first day of classes. So use them as a resource, ask them all the questions that you can, get to know them and their experiences, as they're going to be a big, huge resource and life support for you throughout that first cold winter semester here at UVM.
That's wonderful, Eric. Thank you for sharing those pieces of wisdom. So, Dr. P, what do you have for us?
Wow, I don't know what I can add. This is such great advice and tips. I guess I'll just stick to my medical lane and say, wear your mask, stay 6 feet from other people. If you're sick, let us know. We're here to help you. Try to stay on your own, but we can help you with it if you're feeling sick. And try to do the best you can with the mask and the physical distance.
All right, straightforward, great tip. So last but definitely not least, our Vice Provost for Student Affairs, I'm going to have you give the last words of wisdom, Annie, and you can close us out here.
Oh, thank you, Ryan. What a privilege. So my last words of advice would be everything that everybody just said, and don't take for granted the fact that you're in college, and this is just the best time to reach out. I know it's during a pandemic, but you're going to be able to say, I went to college during a pandemic and I did it. And don't take for granted, especially your health. Get outside, get outdoors, make sure you sleep, you eat, all the things we know that protect your mental health, they protect your physical health. You need those bottom line basic things met in order for your brain to be active, in order for you to reach out and connect with others in safe ways, and just have a good time, enjoy yourself, and have fun with it, because we're here and we love college students. So thanks so much, Ryan, and everybody who joined us tonight. It's been a pleasure. Hopefully this has been really helpful to you. And again, that big date on the screen there, we hope to see you again. Ryan, any last words from you?
My last word is thank you. Thank you all. Thank you to our panelists. Thank you to our students. And again, we're just so excited that you're going to be joining a wonderful community. So if there are any questions, do reach out. But January 12th, we'll see you again. See you on campus. And with that, we'll bid you adieu for now, but we'll be back in touch soon. Thank you all and have a great evening.